Life is what you make of it. A quote that I'm pretty sure you've heard floating around, and it's been said by Marilyn Monroe and Eleanor Roosevelt. So before this podcast started, I'm pretty sure you thought, not another business podcast. So we want to stop you right there and bring you back to the initial quote that we mentioned. And we're going to adapt it again to this podcast is what you choose to do with it. What is a podcast actually intended for? So as a exec, mid-level or entrepreneur, a podcast is a great way to grow your business and to connect with you when you're on the go, kicking it back at home, or simply doing some chores. No matter what the size of your business is, there will always be relevant and accurate information available on a podcast, even if you're a small, medium, or large business. So TruevoTalks decides to take a bit of a spin on this, and we share insights into e-commerce growth, the ins and outs of digital marketing, entrepreneurship hacks, growth hacks, and also everything payments. And how are we going to do this exactly? Well, we will be having expert guest speakers that will discuss the topics that you are probably just itching to understand and solving those problems that you're really looking to deep dive into. Now, if you're not particularly an audio learner and you prefer reading, we do have a beautiful blog available at truevo.com/blog.
Thank you both for joining. I think this is obviously the official launch episode. So we've been there's been a lot of planning that's gone into this one. But first of all, I just want to start with both of you, give the listeners a little bit of an overview of who you are, what you do, and why you're so great. So starting with you, Nick, just a little bit about yourself, what your role is, go ahead.
I'm EVP of Sales and Business Development here at Truevo, and in essence what that means is I kind of lead in the commercial side of the business, looking to take the ecom Truevo business to market in the UK and EU, which covers all new, existing and partner-based business.
Great stuff. Over to you, Lauren. What is it that you do at Truevo?
Thanks, George. I am a product specialist at Truevo, so that basically means that my main role is to find areas of friction within the business and then find ways to actually solve that friction, keeping in mind the customer experience and also the business needs. So sort of that balancing act between what customers need and what the business needs as well.
Great. So I seem to have both of the two perfect people on this call to cover over the topics that we've got today, which is essentially around what Truevo offers and the offering and the whole proposition around our brand. Now, starting with Nick, we're aware that Truevo offers some great payment solutions across UK and Europe for small, medium, big, however big your business is. But can you just allude to a little bit about what our offering and what our proposition is? And I just want to have a little brief conversation around that.
Yeah, sure. So look at the heart of the business, Truevo an acquirer, and we're about 5 years old from a business perspective. And ultimately own all our own technology, which gives us some great credentials when we're looking to kind of go into the market and kind of grow out our business. The business is, as I said, kind of the premise is for me is around a couple of kind of core propositional pieces. One is that core prop. It's all our own technology. We own the end-to-end customer journey with all of our customers, so that's our own back end, it's all our own integrations, it's all our own technology, it's our own people looking after our own customers as well, which I think is really, really key when looking to control and manage that proposition and the customer experience into the market. I think the second piece that really resonates with me of what we're doing is the people. I think we're growing a fantastic business here, attracting great people from across the market who really care about working with their merchants and partners and helping them grow their businesses as well. And I think that's one of the real key attributes about what we do as well. And then the final bit is around sort of value. That there's multiple payment providers, and it's never been easier to get a payment provider out there. But I think it's getting harder and harder to get the right payments partner for your business, to foster that growth, but also provide the best value for what your business needs. And I think that's where we as Truevo, bringing those all together, is really giving us a unique proposition that's helping us work with our merchants and give them what they need and grow their businesses at the same time.
Yeah, and I think we were recently at the Retail Technology Show in London. I think that was one of the biggest conversation points that I found myself having, was the fact that the payments, or merchants tend to find that they are just a list, they're just a number on a list of their current payment provider. And I think specifically I'm out there to form a lot of partnerships rather than actual, just straightforward clients from a payment aspect. I think that's one of the things that we spoke about before, Nick, is about serving that underserved market, which is that kind of top end small market to equally medium large before you start to get into those major strategic businesses. But I completely agree, and it's such an interesting time at Truevo. I mean, just to touch on a little bit, why might someone not have heard of Truevo before? Is it because we've operated specifically in Europe rather than in the UK? Could you allude to that a little bit?
Yeah, very much so. So look, the business on its essence was founded and is run out of Malta. I think for the last sort of 3 to 4 years of operation, we've been heavily focused more on sort of the European markets. But I found that actually the proposition and what we've built working with Lauren and her team really resonates into the UK. What you said there, you hit the nail on the head. Look, been pretty much in the market now for 20 years, and the world is very much a different place than what it was. And the payment space it grows at such an incredible space. I think from a merchant's perspective, the availability of choice has got smaller over the last decade, with mergers and acquisitions. The traditional banks that used to run merchant acquiring platforms are often not the most innovative places in the world, and people can often struggle to get what they need from a single supplier, which is where I think Truevo's really come into their own. Look, we're not governed by some of the structures that a bank. We're an independent fintech, and that allows us the agility and the freedom to build solutions, technology, and platforms that really benefit our customers, and do that at pace and really kind of grow. Really kind of link into what our customers' growth plans are, not just our own, and that's really key.
I think that ties well. We can tie Lauren into this next part, but I wanted to go over kind of our product offering as a whole. What does our product suite look like? And from an e-commerce standpoint, more than anything, what does our e-commerce product suite look like? And essentially, why are we looking to operate with those specific products? We'll go with Nick first on that one, and then we'll come to you in a second, Lauren.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So look, I think for me, merchants are looking for simplicity within a payments platform provider, and ultimately a partner in that growth as well. I think, you mentioned it earlier, I think long gone are those the traditional supplier relationships, and I don't really want to work with that way anymore. I think we work with our merchants and to be in that partnership approach. We're all in it to grow together and to enable their business. And actually, we're in a very interesting world where actually we're enabling our customers to work better with their customers. So there is a kind of a two-staged kind of approach to that, and that's really key when you look at what we deliver and what we've built. So we're a single provider that's providing everything for their payment needs. So that's all card schemes, the Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Maestro, got some of the newer payment types, your Apples and your Google Pays. Plus, the currencies, we support over 140 currencies across the globe. And I think that's that's really key, that you're finding someone that can do everything for you in a simple and easy way. I mean, simplicity of integration and support, it's something that's particularly key in the market now, and there's been a huge kind of movement in the sector for low code, no code approach that allows both a web and a mobile sort of and in-store customer journeys via both APIs and plugins, which I think is very key moving forward.
Yeah, and just a little bit from you, Lauren, a little bit around, talking about the little bit of simplicity that we're talking with Nick, but we know that we offer a range of e-commerce products, one of them being a plugin, one of them being a direct API. Can you just go into a little bit of detail around the differences between the two? Obviously, one of the main differences is, I suppose, it depends on how the customer wants to integrate. However, but like Nick said, it's about simplicity. So can you just go into a little bit about why a payment plugin is different to a direct API integration?
Sure. So at the heart of both the payment plugin and the direct API is our payment gateway, which is the mechanism that all customers will use to actually make payments on our system. Your payment plugins, they are these very useful little wrapped bundles that allow our merchants to just literally upload a file into their CMS-based website. So WooCommerce, PrestaShop, Magento, those styles of websites, it literally lets them just drop a file in, upload 3 pieces of information, and they're taking payments. It is the simplest thing. We've tested our integration method with people who have never seen the back end of a WooCommerce system before, and they can do it with our integration method. So it really is just easy. It's no code whatsoever. As Nick mentioned, we're trying to go towards these methods where the direct API is a lot more involved, but with it being a lot more involved and a tech heavy system, it does mean that people have the ability to just decide on every part, on every aspect of the payment process. But at the same time, there are limitations towards that. So because you are now handling customers' personal information, those businesses do need to be PCI compliant, and they need to be very, very strict on security and things like that, because they are having to maintain that and make sure that the payment flow is secure from end to end. Because all they're actually doing in our system at that point is connecting to our server, that payment gateway, and allowing payments to go through. But the form that it's done on, the flow that their customer is going through, is completely up to them. So there is a lot more customization when it comes to direct API, but there's also a lot more responsibility that lands on our customers. Whereas the plugins, we have the responsibility of how they work, of making sure that they do work, things like that.
Great. And Nick, just a quick point on the fact that, just touching on what Lauren said about the differences between direct API and the plugin, what sectors / customers do you think that each one of them could potentially be relevant for? Or do you think that that's entirely a customer choice and a personal approach?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, to be honest. I mean, there's certain markets and industries that lend themselves better to the plugin approach. Perhaps your more simple e-com, people with specific platforms and environments. But to be honest, a lot of it's down to understanding the actual requirements and capabilities of each individual merchant. So, rule of thumb, if maybe you're small to mediums, perhaps slightly smaller business, perhaps don't have the breadth of capabilities to be able to do a direct integration. So this takes away a lot of that heavy lifting that would be involved in doing that, but also allows them to then focus on what's key to their business, which is growing their business and serving their customers. So it's quite flexible. I mean, if you then look at where the APIs generally come in, it does tend to be slightly larger businesses or businesses where they've got specific bespoke platforms or requirements, and where they're looking to control a lot more of the customer journey or do specific things. Payouts being one of those, where I think it's definitely a different journey and a different way of operating historically with card payments when you're sending funds the other way. The other things can be reoccurring subscription-based payments, things like that as well, where it's going to need a little bit more involvement from the merchant side to really get that. And often they've got that internal capability as well, already built and skilled up. So there's complete flexibility. I mean, if we look at you look at our customer base as it is now, and look, we work with all merchants across e-commerce. I couldn't specifically say there's one industry that tends and leans itself to another route. We've got leading gaming businesses, we've got several sort of large online retailers, home improvement businesses, telcos, banks, lenders, insurance providers and brokerages, just to name a few. And there's all other things kind of within there, people offering subscription-based businesses as well. So it's quite flexible based on that. And I think the success so far of Truevo has been built around our ability to understand the merchant requirements, the customer requirements, and be able to deliver and have a solution that fits those needs.
Yeah, and you briefly touched on it, but I think it's a product, since I've started at Truevo, it's probably been something that is rather unique to us, but it's the whole payout function. Now, I believe we're quite unique in that space, and I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into that, if you don't mind. But how do payouts work, and how can we support businesses when it comes to payouts? And what is a payout? I suppose it's a good place to start. If you want to start, can you allude to that for me, Nick?
Yeah, definitely. And look, it is an interesting one and really exciting. So Truevo, pretty unique with it. We're one of the first acquirers to support both Visa Direct and MasterCard Money Send across the UK and Europe. Not only as an integrated solution with acquiring, but as a standalone solution. So what is a payout? So a payout is, the best way I always think about it, think of card payments, but in reverse. So at the moment, or traditionally, you used to take, you use a card, you pay for it, the money flows from your account into a merchant account, into the person that you're buying your goods from. Actually, now think about it the other way. You can use the card rails to send money from a business immediately, and the SLA for most issuers across Europe is about 30 minutes, but it is pretty much instant. So send funds from my business to you, the card holder, by just using a card number. And that's been pretty much a game changer because it's cross-border. I think it supports over 180 currencies at the moment. It's not dependent on the card. It's in terms of its MasterCard and Visa supported. And it's really allowing people to find new use cases where speed of settling funds out, the gig economy being one of them. So paying out in real time to people when funds have come in is enabling things to kind of come forward. One of the offerings, or one of the use cases I love is instant refunds. So traditionally you used to wait 3 to 5 days for a refund. You can use this to do an instant refund. And you're not creating money from anywhere. You're just enabling it in the system to become quicker. So those 3 to 5 days, nobody had that other than it was in the system flowing through. Now it comes back to me as a cardholder. I'm much more likely to repurchase from the site I've just got my refund from because I don't have to wait 3 to 5 days, which is all very exciting. You look at insurance payouts. Historically, that would have been by check. You're waiting 7-10 days for a check to arrive in the post. Now you give them your card number. It's in your account straight away. You can go off and unfortunately do probably buy the things that you need to replace based on that insurance claim. So it's really quite an exciting way. We're one of the first in the market. We've got some really, really great customers within this space who are really aggressively growing and helping that. So it's an interesting world.
Great. And over to you a little bit, Lauren, about the payouts function, if you're okay to talk about it. What's your have you got any sort of technical expertise within that payout sector that you can maybe allude to a little bit what Nick said, or equally, if you just got anything you want to say around that payout function and to allude to what Nick's made?
Yeah, I think Nick's covered most of it, to be honest. So how it works from a technical standpoint is it does use the direct API, but you get a very similar, make up a very similar type form to a normal payout, but instead the card number you're inputting is now receiving that information. And what it essentially will do is it'll go, okay, you are with a Visa card, we're going to do it through Visa, or you're with a MasterCard and it'll go through Visa. So of course, we're not going to support like Amex on Visa or MasterCard. It is specific for those payment schemes. But it pretty much, it goes through to them, and those schemes will then process those funds do get sent through. In order to send payouts, you do of course have to have the right amount sitting with Truevo. So we're not going to give you credit for that amount. You do need to place the funds into a Truevo bank account where we'll store them for you. It's all safe. And then we will basically just deduct the money from that account. And yeah, it's a pretty easy process. It's a 24-hour thing as well. It's not like we're sitting there manually verifying any process. So if you have a customer that is angry with you at 3 a.m. in the morning, you can sort that payment out at 3 a.m. in the morning, and we're not holding you back as long as you do have funds sitting in an account.
No, great. And I think that again, that expanded on what Nick said, and I think from a technicality standpoint that's brought it to light a little bit more for me. So I think from the listeners aspect, I think that could be a great piece of advice. Nick, just quickly, I'm conscious of time. I want to keep this quite straightforward, but equally provide some good value. What do you think some trends are that e-commerce merchants are seeing at the moment, and essentially how are Truevo addressing them, or equally what's your thoughts on them?
Yeah, it's an interesting subject on that. I think e-commerce in 2022, especially in the UK, there's no getting away from PSD2 and secure cardholder authentication. So there's been pushed back for a number of years, came live in early March this year, and clearly been an impact. I think, even me as a cardholder and my own experiences, I've had failed payments, which I would expect to go through, and the industry suggesting that that's happening. So, our striving to provide frictionless payments has ultimately by the regulator become more and more challenging. But that said, it's opened up a lot of opportunities for other payment methods as well, and other routes. So having stored card features and functionality has become more common and required to enable that simpler checkout process. I think the one click out, and I think one of the learnings and things that we saw from launching secure cardholder authentication across Europe the year before, because the mandate was earlier, was when merchants started, or when cardholders started to have challenges with checkout, they moved to the most frictionless way of paying, and often that was Apple and Google Pay. So we saw a huge drive in those coming and being adopted, especially in certain countries across sort of Eastern Europe where perhaps the issuers weren't up to speed with PSD2 as best as they could do. So I think that's one of the things, what's the key trends we're seeing, and we're seeing that echo definitely across the UK, and looking to work with our merchants to ensure that they can, everybody wants to be able to offer their customers the preferred payment type and the simplistic way of doing it. So I think that's one of those. I think interesting enough, whilst we're all very hopeful that COVID's gone away, and I think we seem to be in a very good spot in terms of the actual virus, I think it's actually driving quite a lot of opportunities and challenges for merchants where they were forced into adopting e-commerce because it was the only way that they can transact and do during the last couple of years, and they perhaps haven't got weren't able to work with the provider that they wanted to at the time, or kind of moved into a specific partnership with a specific platform, and maybe that's now perhaps not the right partner for the growth and for the next years. So I think people will start to look, and now they've got that maturity and understanding of the space, will look to get a better partner that suits their business more and for growth. I think the final one as well, and actually again slightly linked to COVID, that I think Brexit was actually covered over by COVID a little bit and got hidden by some of the impacts there. So being both an EU and a UK acquirer, we've seen quite a few of merchants having some significant impacts, and there are some significant cost impacts that have occurred and that have been placed in by the schemes recently, but also those supply chain and logistics issues that have come from that. So I think there's been some real pain in those cross-border businesses, and we'll continue to see that, and we're now working with quite a few to really help solve some of those problems and minimise some of the impacts through. So I think those are going to continue throughout the year, and well into next year as well.
Yeah, okay. No, I completely agree with those three. I think there's plenty more that we could talk about, but again, conscious of time, what would you, just to finish on, how easy is it for merchants to work with us? The whole sign-up process, this, that, and the other. How easy is it for merchants to sign up?
we try and make life as easy as possible, and I think this is something that we echo across the whole of our business. Is we want working with Truevo to be simple, we want it to be easy, and we want merchants to be able to access the support that they need. And being able to sign up is just one part of those journeys. So we've provided it as easy as we can. So it's online forms, working with people in my team as well. I mean, everyone has slightly different needs, but we think using the online portal, and we're trying to create this self-service model where those people that want to self-serve can self-serve. Alternatively, there's sometimes when people want to pick up the phone and want to send an email and want to speak to someone in person, and therefore we're building the capability to be able to do that as well. So having a client manager, so someone who's is responsible for helping you grow, and doing that as well, but also providing those support teams. You want to ring our support team, they're there. Pick up the phone, have a conversation. You want to send it via email, you send it via email. We're bringing in things like chat and automation and self-service portals. So giving you all the different tools, just depending on the way that you want to work as an individual, because that's what's right for your business. And one channel isn't exclusive to the other. So you can pick and choose when you use each of those channels at any given time. So I think that's what core of what Truevo is trying to do is that flexibility, being agile, listening to what our customers need, and then providing the right solutions, but also backed by the right people and technology to really help be that partner with growth and be there for not just now but for the future.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that from a merchant standpoint, again, they're all the things you want to hear. If you want to hear more as a listener, please do head over to our website www.truevo.com, and we can there's plenty of chatbots on there and all sorts of things you can get in touch with us. Now, short interruption to the podcast. We have been running a competition. Over the last 6 weeks, we've been running that competition in the lead up to this official launch episode. Now, we now have a winner. And that winner is Nicola Sadler. Massive congratulations, Nicola. You now should have at the release of this podcast your Bose Quiet Comfort 45 headphones. So again, a massive congratulations, and I really hope they make this podcast sound even better. Now let's get back to the podcast. But I just want to finish on a quick fire round for you both. I've got 3 questions that I'm going to ask. I'll address Lauren first, then I'll come to Nick. But Lauren, what's the first app you open in the morning?
Probably my email, as sad as that may be.
Your email. Okay. I get that one. Nick, first app you open in the morning?
I think for me it's Apple News, actually. See what's going on in the world, understand what's changed, anything interesting kind of going on. That's for me. And unfortunately I'll echo with Lauren. Email's not a long way behind that, I'm afraid. So it's a shame, but needs must.
Great. And Lauren, night in or night out?
Night in. I'm an introvert at heart, so night in any day.
Very, 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 very well said. Nick?
Tough one, actually. I would probably say, after the last 2 years, we're probably very much night-inners, but maybe a 50-50, maybe out for dinner, a few drinks somewhere, and then finishing at home. Father of 2 daughters, I need my sleep more than ever these days now. So the age is showing, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, again, touching on the last 2 years, I think that ties into the last one very, very nicely. Lauren, work from home or at the office?
I struggle with this one. So I enjoy working from home, and I do think large majority I would prefer to stay working from home. You do just miss that social connection. So it is sometimes nice to have someone you can bounce ideas off of, and that does become more difficult. Just because there's not those side table conversations, there's none of that happening. But at the same time, I do not miss traffic. I do not miss spending like 2 hours of my day traveling in and out of work. And it is just convenient, and also being in the environment that we are at Truevo is we're very much, if you need to go do something in the middle of your day, go do that something. As long as your work gets done, it's fine. And I do find that to be a little bit more convenient when you are from home. So I'll say 80% work from home, but I do like that 20% actually getting to engage with the people I work with.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think with moving over to Nick, but he looks like he's got a fairly nice home office anyway. So Nick, how about you? Work from home or work from the office?
Do you know what? I'm probably 50-50 on it. And I think you're probably aware of my thoughts on this because I'm relatively vocal on it. Yeah, great environment. I think I get so much done out of home, and I think we've proved that as a business that we're very effective from that as well. However, I do love the office, and yeah, being more in a people-facing role, kind of coming together, understanding that. And I think, yeah, a lot of businesses run the risk of lacking in collaboration by not having people in the office together. I call it learning via osmosis, where I have a conversation with Lauren across the desk and 3 other people overhear that. That's all shared learning that you just don't get when you're working from home. And that can often be a challenge, especially in a growth business. But yeah, I'm saying 50-50. I think there's certain times where I love just to close down Slack, and I can focus on just getting what I done. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not doing anything. There's nothing kind of happening other than I'm going to get what I need to be done. And I think that works for a lot of businesses and a lot of roles within businesses. But I do see the flip side as well of ultimately we are social creatures at times. So being in the office and having that balance is good. So but I'd like to echo the last point of Lauren said was I don't miss the commute. And that's time that you never get back, but also quite a nice time. Time to listen to a podcast, I'd probably say.
That's a great plug. No, thanks for that. That was probably one of the longest quickfire rounds we've had. So it was very insightful. I really appreciate you both joining. So thank you very, very much. This podcast will be out on Spotify, potentially YouTube if the video quality is good enough. But this one will be out very, very soon. And I really appreciate you both joining. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thanks, George. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
And that's the end. That is the end of the official launch episode. So look, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to the full episode. We've got so many plans for this podcast. We really enjoy breaking this content and bringing it your way. Look, and if you're looking for e-commerce insights, digital marketing trends, tips, any sort of ins and outs of payments, we're here to provide that for you, and you're in great hands on this podcast. Look, please join the conversation. However you choose to listen to this, look, we post regular clips of this on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Please do feel free to reach out and let me know yourself what you think to the podcast. Take care. See you soon.